Got to wave back. What's up, Corey?
Hey, Pat, Mac, hey, everybody.
Hey.
I continue to go to the pistol range once a week. I do between 100 and 150 rounds per week, but it's not for fun. Every single round has a purpose. Every
Mhm.
single round is there for a reason.
Yep.
And I've been using B8 bull targets so I can
Yep.
actually like calculate scores and PRs and track my improvement.
Mhm.
And what I wanted to ask you is specifically regarding pistol marksmanship at a distance, particularly 15, 25. Unfortunately, the range I go to only goes to 25.
Yep.
But that slow fire, being able to keep all the rounds within the 9 ring inside the black of the B8
Right.
bull target at, 15, 20, 25. That's what I'm working to achieve. And if you had
And
any
that's great.
advice.
Yeah, that's great. That's great that you're doing that, because a lot of people don't do that. People don't go to the range and shoot bulls, man. You know, they don't. They just don't do it. They're happy freaking putting rounds somewhere on the paper and not being accountable. So first off, understand that when it comes to bulls, bulls are necessary, dude. I was in 13 years in the unit. We shot so much freaking. We counted and scored every freaking thing. I can't tell you the thousands and thousands of freaking B8 bulls I've spray painted up over the years, you know. Um, when it comes to shooting bulls, keep a couple things in mind. One is you can't outperform your self-image, right? You can't outperform your self-image. You have to, the mind navigates the body. In other words, how you think will determine how you perform. Can't outperform your self-image. And with bulls, don't look where you don't want to go. Because when you're at that distance, even at 25, you could see around if it lands in the freaking 7 or 8 ring, right? So now you
Yes.
got that June bug looking at you. But the thing is, a lot of times people will let that crush their spirits. As soon as they see that June bug, like, man, that's 2 points down right there. And I'm only on my second shot.
Right.
Work in strings of 10. That way you could be accountable. So everything's 100 points. So everything's 100, you know. So work in
Yeah,
strings.
I was doing strings of 5, but if it's
Yep.
more property
Do
strings
work
of 10,
strings
that's fine.
of 10. I would stick with 15 right now until you're maxing that out.
Okay.
You want to be 100% at 15 yards. And then back up 25 yards. In my opinion, that's where pistol marksmanship starts. A lot of people would
Right.
shit their pants, you know, if I said, people do shit their pants when I tell them that. So pistol
Right.
marksmanship, it starts at 25 yards, man. That's when the rubber meets the road. That's a championship range right there, you know, or distance. The other thing is hear doubt, but don't listen to doubt. So in other words, when you're up on target and you got all the slack pulled out of the trigger, you know, and now it's up there, and you're saying to yourself, all right, okay, I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this. You probably don't got this. That's the time to take your finger off the trigger, drop the pistol down, take a deep breath, start the process
Start
over again.
over.
Because it's going to be in the fucking white. I guarantee. As soon as you start saying, yeah, just a little bit more on the trigger, just a little bit more. All right, just keep squeezing. It's almost there. It's almost there. That's when you freaking fail. That's when you
Yeah.
throw that. That's when you throw into the 7 ring.
Okay. I'm going to listen to this recording, and everything you're saying, I'm
Yeah.
going to listen to
Well,
quite a few times.
what I tell people, that's doubt. That's doubt talking to you. Yeah, I got this. I got this. Hear doubt, but don't listen
Subconscious
to
doubt.
doubt. Yeah, don't
Okay.
capitulate to it. You got to hear it because it's telling you something. It's there for a reason, but that's what it is. It's not affirmation. It's not saying, yeah, you got this. You're bet. No, it's saying, yeah, you got. Come on, just a little bit more of the trigger, dude. I still do it, and you know what I still do? I still say, hey, man, take a word of your own advice and just drop the pistol. But every once in a while, I won't. Guess where that round is? 8 ring.
Got you.
Every time, every single
Yeah.
time. But man, when I
All
follow
right.
my advice, I'm like, dude, Pat Mac, you got some great advice, man. I should listen to you more often.
Nice. A couple notes on what you said, what you called a June bug.
Mhm.
So there's something I read in a book where, to me, it's a good when you get that, keep an emotional baseline. It's good practice. Do the miss and a makeup with minimal emotion to not get sucked into, I dropped 2 points.
Mhm.
There was an exercise. Okay, so at the distance, and like you said, I'll go back to 15 until I can keep every single one without a doubt inside the 9 ring.
Yep.
At the 15, I'm usually out of a 10 string, I'm usually dropping like 2 into the 8. So I'll make sure I can get those all in the black before I
Yep.
even consider going
Right.
beyond
Yeah.
15.
Just stay there. Just stay there. Now, there is every once in a while, you want to push it out to 25 because here's the thing. This is why you want to push it out to 25, even though you know that you're not going to, you're not going to produce a good score, but you might be in the 70s, or something like that. As long
Yeah.
as they're scoreable, if they're in the 7 ring, you're probably 70 or better. You know what I mean? But what that 25 does is it reduces the amount of freaking complacency that there is at 15, because you can't be as complacent at 25. Any little jerk in that freaking trigger is going to send it over to your non-shooting side. It's going to send it over there. So every once in a while, push to 25. You don't have to do a full string of 10, but really freaking take your time. Here's what pistol marksmanship requires too: objective self-critique, metacognition too, thinking about your own thinking, knowledge about your own knowledge. That's what that marksmanship, I am a nerd for pistol marksmanship. What people don't, they're not big on it when I do courses. They would much rather get their blaze on. So that's kind of what I do with them.
Right.
But
Yeah.
but I do, there's a couple courses of fire that we shoot strong hand at distance and then a 300, 500 point aggregate. I nerd out on it. I mean, the self-talk that's when everything, that's all that sports psychology shit comes in with pistol marksmanship, that those championship ranges, especially at 25, you've got to think, all right, number one, don't aim for the black. Let me put these in the X ring, bro. Not in the black. Let me put them in the X ring.
Oh, wow.
The black's too freaking big, man. And then
Yeah.
also think of that black ring that it's only this big, right? Think of it like the size of a garbage can lid. What I did when I was working on the nationals, I would imagine, because it was 50-yard strong hand, and the guys out, I was competing against 1,500 other people, and
Oh,
four of
wow.
us from the unit went. Four of us, we were
Nice.
all shooting mid 90s at 50 yards strong hand iron sights.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But in order to you had to do that in order to qualify. Everybody was doing that. But I remember saying to myself,
That's a wild
now
standard.
that black dot is tiny, man. Your front sight post is massive against that little tiny dot, that B8 ring. So not only would I say this has to be in the X ring, not in the 9, that's not good enough, the black, but it's got to be in the X ring. Also, that bowl is the size of basically a trash can lid. And the other thing I would say is I would remember saying to myself, that freaking hole right there, that black dot is like a black hole sucking in light, man. It's sucking my bullet into that.
Yeah.
I would kind of
Burn a
imagine
hole
that,
into that.
because there's real power to that. It's like self-talk and
Absolutely.
PMA when you're doing marksmanship. So, when you're, because I competed at that national level, and it was amazing how I tied for first with like 14 other people. That's
Wow.
how close the scores were. And then it
Right.
came down to X rings,
Because
accumulation
that's
of
the
X rings.
tiebreaker.
Yep.
Yeah.
It all came down to accumulation of X rings.
Yeah. I know that the 9 ring is 5.54 inches.
Yep.
And then I can't remember the size of the X ring, but yeah.
And
So
also remind yourself too, put the analytical mind aside and allow the body and the machinery to work, because the machinery does work. It works, man. And I have to show that to people on the range all the time, where they're like, my pistol doesn't hit. Let me see it. And then let me shoot it and shoot it some more. And let me shoot out at distance. And once they see that this thing that they're holding is like, oh, that freaking thing works, it usually puts them at ease. It reminds them that the machinery does work. We need to be able to allow the machinery to work in the way that it's supposed to function.
so your verbiage, sight, squeeze, squeeze, that's
Yep.
usually what I'm telling
Yep.
myself.
That's that. Yep. And then here's another thing too. I have, so there's this, I call it, I don't know what people call it. I call it line demeanor. Right. So line demeanor. So every sport has a demeanor or a setup of sets or sorts. Let's say, you take a freaking a Federer in tennis, before he serves, he looks down the court, he bounces the ball twice, looks down the court, bounces it one more time, and then throws it up and serves it. He's going to do the exact same thing every single time. Nadal is going to do something different, but he's going to do the exact same thing every single time. Every basketball player in the NBA, when they get to the foul line, they have a line demeanor. One guy's going to dribble twice, boom, boom. One guy's going to dribble twice, throw it with a backspin, boom. So there's a breathing sequence here too. You know,
Oh,
you
I'd take a
breathe
deep
during the
breath.
sequence. So for
Yeah.
me, line demeanor with marksmanship, deep breath in, deep breath out, present out, and then that self-talk mantra, sight, 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 squeeze, 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 let the hammer fall, boom, realign, reset. Back to the ready, finger out the trigger, deep breath in and out. You know, it's kind of like that. It's very robotic, but it does not falter. It does not change. It's exactly the same every single time. And if I'm not doing that, I'm not performing the same.
I would say I'm pretty robotic as well. I have like a order of operations. I actually say the round so I don't forget what round I'm on. I'll be like 1.
Yeah.
And then
Whatever it takes. But
yeah.
you know, I think that stuff's real important. It's like BRM, basic rifle marksmanship, to me is it's real freaking important. How you like lay into position to achieve that natural point of aim, you know, how many breaths you're taking in cycles. For me, it's I have a 1 breath to shot ratio with BRM, where a lot of people are like 3 breaths.
Oh well.
But it's a line demeanor thing, you know, it just got to work for you. You can't replicate it. It can't be anybody else's. It's got to be very unique to you, and it's got to make you comfortable, you know, and comfortable and confident.
I train with both iron sights and the red dot, mainly
Yep.
because in other countries, if you source a weapon, there's not going to be red dot on it.
Right.
But for shooting distance, I'm absolutely using the red dot, at least for now. So, and I imagine burning a hole inside of that X ring. Like that's what I'm imagining. My red dot is burning a hole
Yep.
in the center, and that's what I'm doing my best to keep it on there. But yeah, the simple reflex stuff at the 7 and the 10, like a Mozambique drill, that's not a problem for even for time, keeping it in the 8-inch circle and the 4-inch circle. But the marksmanship is what I've noticed just improves absolutely everything, including transitions. So what I'm doing is the slow fire, each round reholster, and then I took one exercise, I believe it was from your Instagram presentations, 15s and 15s. Is that you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the 15, I can keep the single presentation 5 to 10 rounds inside the 8-inch circle.
Mm-hmm.
But I seen you did that with iron sights inside of the 9, and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's 1,000 days versus 10,000 days. The Miyamoto Musashi quote. I was like, man, that's what I'm
I mean,
working towards.
without you right next to me on the range, there's a lot of little shit besides just the mental aspect. I mean, just slight tweaks of because pistol marksmanship, it's a totally different thing. You know, when I'm teaching somebody blaze, a lot of shit can go. It could there's a lot of fluff there. There's a lot of room for freaking not
Room
for
for
error,
error.
but
Yeah.
yeah, but
No.
there's just a lot of wiggle room. You know, like their stance doesn't have to be the best, or their grip doesn't have to be the best. Or when you're doing pistol marksmanship, man, you want everything to be that
Right.
demeanor. You know, how
Right.
you grip that, how you grip it, the pressure on the grip, your support hand grip, your presentation, what you're focused on. I think it's a real freaking art form. The rate at which you pull the trigger is massive too. That one's big. And that's only going to improve over time with dry fire, just straight up dry fire.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah. So you know how like amateur instructors will say, well, it should surprise you when it goes off. I always freaking hated that one because a surprise to me is, oh shit, I just had a surprise.
Right.
You know, that's a
Yeah.
freaking ND or something. You
AD
should know
versus ND.
exactly when that freaking hammer breaks. What do you like shooting a Glock or something? Springy trigger?
No, I've actually something that I have realized since meeting the squad here is everything I previously thought is incorrect. I had a false understanding of reality in my head, and I now question every single thing I do, including the things I previously thought were right, not just in shooting, but in life in general.
Right.
I moved over to a Walther PDP Pro.
Okay, so still not a two-stage trigger, still springy. Yeah, but so
It's a striker fired pistol.
yeah, striker fire, so a little mushy. So those are a lot harder to figure out. When is this hammer going to fall? You know, two-stage triggers, you know,
Right,
but
right.
so I mean, which in
You mean like a
pistol
double
world
action,
they're
single action
rare.
pistol? Like
I'm sorry.
you mean like a double action, single action?
No, two-stage trigger like on a 1911,
Oh, okay.
or like on
Yes,
an AR, like a Geisley SSA two-stage.
I got you.
There
There
it's
was
got a
somebody
little pickup, and then you know that 2 pounds There's no more pickup right here. All you got to do is put 2 pounds on it, 2.5, 3.5, whatever that trigger is. So with a 2-stage trigger, you could be a lot more accurate. So that's my point I'm making with the dry fire. Those striker fire, springy triggers, you need a lot of freaking dry fire to improve your slow fire marksmanship, because you need to know exactly when that hammer is going to fall, because it's not 2-stage.
Dry fire is huge. Yeah, I actually
I look
researched how
forward
to
to
do proper dry fire.
seeing your progress. Every once in a while, post a target up. 15 yards,
Okay.
10, because it keeps you accountable too. So right now you're shooting what, in the 80s. You say you'll shoot, you'll throw a couple eights and a couple nines and this and that.
Oh, I record it. I'll tell you something
But
while
you're
I pull
shooting
up.
fives, so you don't know score. Start shooting
Yeah,
tens, and
I'll do
just
10s.
every
That's
once in a
fine.
while, put it on the all tiers so I could see it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in a 5-round string at the 15, my PR is 48.
Yep.
I'm not necessarily being like, oh, double that, and that's 10 rounds. I'm not
Well, that's
necessarily
only
saying
2
that.
points. That's only 2 nines or 1 8.
Yeah, I would like that to become regular. I have down here the last range time I did, on average, it was two rounds per 5 string. We're landing in the 8. So if we double that to 10, four to 5 rounds landing in the 8.
Right on.
I'm also embarrassed to say, when I came to your first meetup, I didn't have a full understanding of the 1911 platform. I do now. My brother-in-law has one. I was like, hey man, let me borrow this. And I understand. I understand how it operates. The trigger goes straight back as opposed to like being on a hinge. It's very interesting.
Yep.
And there was somebody at the range allowed me to we traded pistols. Just some guy I met there, and he had a staccato, and I was like, oh, this is, I don't want to say it's cheating, but this is a different thing. This is I understand why people use this for marksmanship. Yeah, thank you for this coaching. I'm absolutely going to listen to it multiple times and actually put it on paper later.
Cool.
So
right on, my man.
Thanks for yeah, thank you, and everybody else who sat through that. Thanks for being patient.